This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Coming to you from the Circus Sportsbook right here in downtown Las Vegas. I'm Scott Seidenberg, joined by Will Hill. This is VSiN Primetime here on VSiN, the sports betting network. It is a Thursday evening. We are gearing up for the weekend. The NBA play-in round will resume coming up tomorrow. And real quick, your thoughts on last night, because when we got off the air, we were both on the Sacramento Kings, and boy, couldn't have been more wrong on how that game was going to play out. So just tie a bow around that first play-in round before we get to tomorrow's games.
Yeah, we got some baseball about to tip off here, including our Yankees, which we can sweat together. I'll just continue my whining from yesterday. We don't need these playing teams. We don't need the Bulls and the Kings and these dysfunctional teams. Yeah, I didn't realize till looking through the box score how much sort of incest there was between the Bulls and the Kings, between DeRozan and her. I mean, these teams, these bad teams, just trade players back and forth. Teams with no direction. So as you can tell, I'm bitter. We were on the wrong side of that one. Good job by the Mavs. We'll see if they can duplicate it tomorrow night. I'm not so sure. Was a little surprised at 6.5, especially Morant banged up. He's questionable. I would imagine he's going to play, and we can get to that game. We can get to Heat Hawks, but just not really much to watch. There was a stretch where I think, like you mentioned, we got off the air and Dallas was up maybe 6 or 8, and they went on like an 18-2 run, and really you could have turned the TV off at that point. Sacramento never got closer than 17 or so. So not much to watch in either game. It was pretty much wire to wire for the Mavs. It was pretty much wire to wire for the Heat. So excited. I think we're getting a good first round of the playoffs. I think the West playoffs are going to be really good. Mm-hmm. I think eventually Celtics Cavs will be good in the East. I think we didn't have a good playoff last year, and it's been a pretty bad regular season, in my opinion, from just a casual fan interest point. But I think we're looking at some really good series, especially in the Western Conference.
Now, you and I both placed a bet on the under in the Miami-Atlanta game as soon as that was released. You got the best number of it because DraftKings and FanDuel were the first to open, and boy, they were wrong on what this market was going to do with that total. So congratulations to you and your CLV. I'm sure you're going to shine that up nicely. I did bet the under at where the number is now, at 219. I'm surprised that it did dip down to 218.5 and then goes back up to 219. I'm curious, maybe by the time we get to tomorrow, we're going to see some push more towards the under here. And we have had a little bit push on the under in the Dallas-Memphis game as it opened up at 222 and pushed down to 221. More on the NBA playoffs coming up a little bit later on, as we will be joined by our very own Zach Cohn. You read his work up on vsin.com. Does a tremendous job covering the NBA. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to be joined by our very own Greg Peterson to talk a little Major League Baseball. Greg does a baseball betting podcast for us here at VSiN. He gives out lines for every single game in Major League Baseball, and we had a fun day earlier in baseball where the Pennsylvania parlay came through, Will. Something that I talked about yesterday on the program, looking at some trends and some systems this year. It's a 4-game series, and you are the home team. With the Pirates and the Phillies winning here today, home teams in Game 4 of a 4-game series are now 11-0 on the season. Is it time for you to jump in and back this trend with me?
So you're saying it's going to go undefeated the rest of the year. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying just stay off of it, because I know once you get on it, something might happen. But yeah, exactly. The Pirates win 1-0 over the Nationals. The Phillies a 6-4 win over the Giants. Christopher Sanchez allowed 1 run in the top of the first inning, but then the Phillies jumped out to 5 runs in the bottom of the first off of Jordan Hicks. You and I talked a little bit yesterday about our confidence, or maybe lack of confidence, in the Philadelphia Phillies. I think we're both on the same page where we think that yes, it's going to be a race between them and the Mets in the National League East, but if I had to choose one, I'm going with the Phillies. If you had to choose one between the Mets and Philly, who are you going with?
Mets slightly. I love that lineup. I think they're and all of these people, and you know this from being the East Coast, these people that are looking for clicks, looking for ratings, trying to complain that, Soto, he's not performing. If you saw this on local radio around here, if he has a bad couple weeks, the season's a bust. I mean, let's calm down a little bit. Remember, Aaron Judge was awful in April last year, and he put up video game numbers and continues to put up video. Let's all take a deep breath. Soto's going to be fine. They're going to have an outstanding lineup. They have an aggressive owner. I think they're both within a couple games of each other. Again, we got a long season ahead of us, so injuries, who gets added to the deadline, I think that's really the margin between these teams. Is it too early to count out Atlanta? Probably too early, but they have dug themselves a hole. But I will go with the Mets here. And one other thing about the baseball today, I think the first 6 games, and we're in game 7, 8 about to start, 6-0 to the Yerfie. Did you notice that? I think Detroit and Kansas City just broke that 0-0, so they did not score. But all the afternoon games, the Yerfie came through. Yes, run in the first inning. Baltimore just homered in the first inning. Cleveland just tied it. So that was a Yerfie. So 6-0, nice day if you you parlayed round robin for whatever reason the Yerfie. I know the Nerfie's more popular one, but a lot of runs here in the first inning of these games.
That is incredible, especially, when you consider most of the time you're getting plus money on this yes run in the first inning. Hey, I hope that's the case for the New York Yankees as they begin the top of the first against the Tampa Bay Rays. This game being played, of course, in the Yankees spring training ballpark there, Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, despite all the money that the Rays have invested into converting the ballpark to make it appear like a Rays home field by, changing all the logos, getting rid of everything that says New York or the Yankees logo and replacing it with Rays logo. This is still a field and a ballpark where the Yankees players are very comfortable in, and I would be surprised if the Yankees didn't have success in this series down in Tampa. We know they're going to have the crowd, and I think they'll have the ballpark edge as well. One of my favorite bets for the Yankees in this game tonight is Jazz Chisholm to hit a home run. He's second on the team behind Aaron Judge. You can get Jazz at upwards of plus 500 to go deep tonight. Little lefty-righty matchup going up against Taj Bradley. And because it's Steinbrenner Field, which is the same dimensions, Will, as Yankee Stadium, you got that short porch in right field.
What is it about the matchup? Is there anything specific? Because there's one I like based on the situation, if the situation comes up. But the Yankees looks like they got their leadoff guy on. Looks like Goldschmidt is on base. You can bet live plate appearance for all of these hitters. Judge is plus 425 to either get hit by a pitch or draw a walk. I would think after last night, I saw his career numbers versus Bradley, 0 for 3 with a walk, 2 out, nobody on. Boy, I would love plus 425 for a walk, but with a man already on base, unless a double play here, you're not probably going to pitch around him with a man on base. I wouldn't think so. Keep that in mind. We'll keep an eye on that for the game going out throughout the night. I might look at that for plate appearance props because, like I talked about yesterday, there's so many ways to bet all this stuff. But what's the sell for here for Chisholm? Is it matchup dependent? I know you like the dimensions here, but what do you think?
I love the dimensions of the ballpark. Like I said, it's a place where they are familiar playing there at Steinbrenner Field. Yeah. I get the lefty-righty matchup here. And as I mentioned, he's second on the team behind Aaron Judge in home runs. And I think that he's making good contact, swinging a good bat. The average is not there, but he has the pop, and he's shown the pop this season. So I like him, especially at the price, at plus 500 compared to someone like an Aaron Judge. I think taking Jazz to go deep is a good prop in this game. The thing with Bradley...
Are you a Ben Rice believer?
I am a Ben Rice believer.
Yeah, he's looked good. You see some of his baseball savant, some StatCast numbers as he singles here through the hole. So it's going to be first and third for Judge.
Oh, boy.
It's off the charts. It's a lot of red. It's top 90s percentile exit velocity, bat speed, a lot of the stuff. Now, look, we're 3 weeks in, which is the caveat with all this stuff, but if this is a sign of how good he is. The Yankees got a nice little player here. Not that anyone's ever going to replace Soto, but that first base has been a black hole for a long time. So, DH first base, if he can eventually play there, they might have a decent little hitter in front of Judge.
The thing with Bradley, he doesn't have a lot of history against this Yankees lineup. The most at-bats anybody has ever had against him is Anthony Volpe, who's 0 for 5. But other than that, Cody Bellinger, 1 for 3. Grisham, 0 for 2. Judge, 0 for 3. Rice, 1 for 3. Now 2 for 3 with that hit, or 2 for 4 with that hit. And Austin Wells, 0 for 3. So not a lot of history for Bradley against this Yankee lineup, but we do like what we see here early on to start this game. And I believe Aaron Judge has just driven in the first run of the game as the Yankees will take a 1-0 lead over the Tampa Bay Rays. Good start for the Bombers there in the Bronx South, if you will, with them, as I said, playing in their home ballpark, if you will. So good start. Aaron Judge, he went 3 for 3 yesterday, Will. 1 for 1 today. He increases his batting average now to .418. I know it's only April, but we're talking about Triple Crown candidacy for Aaron Judge right now.
There's nothing left for this guy to do in the regular season.
Besides get a Triple Crown, right?
Yeah, I guess that. I mean, he's going to have to, and I'm sure he would trade a lot of this regular season success for one of these 2-3 week heaters in October where he can shut everybody up and hold up a trophy and win a World Series, win a World Series MVP. You never know if that got to a game 6 last year, which it absolutely should have. He was starting to heat up. He had homered in that game. He had doubled in the game 5 because, I mean, the trolls are going to say, oh, you can't do it in the playoffs. Other than that, I mean, this guy is about as proven as you can be in a league where it's hard to hit, it's hard to score runs. He's making a mockery of the league. What's the saying? There needs to be a higher league, a higher level for this guy. He's too good for the big leagues. If there was another league to call him up to, you'd call him up to. He's that good in the regular season.
So Yankees with the early 1-0 lead off of Taj Bradley and the Rays. Yankees live line -220, live total 11.5. This was a total that was around 9 before the game started, so it is up to 11.5. Still to come in about 5 minutes from now, the Mets will take on the Cardinals. Griffin Canning, who got scratched from his start yesterday with a little bit of an illness, is going to start tonight for the Mets. Adrian Palante on the mound for the Cardinals. Mets are -142 with a total of 8. Coming up next, we will be joined by our very own Greg Peterson, get his thoughts on the Major League Baseball schedule for tonight, a look at tomorrow and the rest of the weekend as well. He is Will Hill. I'm Scott Seidenberg. You can hit him up on Twitter at @NotTheWillHill. I'm on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, or all of us online at VSiN Live. We'll keep you up to date on everything going on in Major League Baseball and the final day of the NHL regular season. I mean, the playoffs are set, but we can get some fun prop bets for tonight on player props. I have a goal scorer prop that we can sweat out as well. JT Miller for the Rangers. This is VSiN Primetime, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on VSiN Primetime, I'm Scott Seidenberg alongside Will Hill, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We have a couple of Major League Baseball games in progress. Guardians with a 2-1 lead over the Orioles. Royals and Tigers are scoreless in the top of the third. Yankees with a 1-0 early lead over the Rays in the bottom of the first inning in Tampa. And the Mets and Cardinals about to get underway from Citi Field. Still to come at about an hour from now, Angels and Rangers from Arlington. Joining us now on the Progressive guest line is our very own Greg Peterson. Greg hosts the Baseball Betting Show, a podcast available wherever you get your pods, courtesy of VSiN. And Greg, we've had an exciting Thursday of sweep potentials or getaway days, if you will. I like to celebrate my Pennsylvania parlay hit with the Phillies and the Pirates. But in these games in progress right now, what are you tracking? What are you betting? What do you have upcoming with the final game of the night as well, Angels and Rangers?
Well, we're going to be looking for the Tampa Bay Rays to be able to claw the 1-0 hole. I did take Operation Fade Will Warren once again, just because I don't know how this guy is currently at the big league level right now. And I do like the over in that game as well. So Yankees getting a run on the board, not necessarily the world's worst thing. Game just started between the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets. That total of 8 I just felt was too low for Griffin Canning against Andre 3000 Palante. So I took a little bit of a shot there. And then there is one game still to come tonight. That'd be the Angels and the Texas Rangers. Folks have about 45, 50 or so minutes to be able to get in on that. And I did write this up for the VSiN website. I actually do like the under in this spot with Kumar Rocker. His first few games hasn't been able to get a lot of strikeouts, but all throughout his career, whether that be the minor league level, whether that be at Vanderbilt, has always been a guy that's been able to generate a lot of swings and misses. And for the Rangers, this has been a bottom 5 offense in all of baseball this season. It's been stunning, and I think that there's going to be a little bit of positivity, especially against a guy in Jack Conowitz, who's career strikeouts per 9 rate is hovering right around 4. But for the Texans, they just have not been able to get the ball just out of the yard in general. And when I take a look at this Texas Rangers ballpark, it's actually been playing very much to pitchers whenever the roof is closed, which it typically is early on during the season. So here to 9.5, I was willing to take a shot on the under.
Greg, we're 3 weeks or so into the season. Any team that you feel differently about now from the start of the season? Any team you changed your opinion on since we started playing?
The Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
The Atlanta Braves, I thought that they were going to have a little bit of a tough start to the season because when you face off against the Dodgers and the Padres, you know what, that's a rough go of it. You would like them to not get swept in both of those series, but I thought, okay, they're going to return back home. They're going to start to be able to get online. it's just not happening for this team. Now, they just get back Spencer Strider in that start against the Toronto Blue Jays, but I mean, for the Atlanta Braves, it just feels like even when they get all their pieces back, this is just not the same team that we saw from like 2023. This is not the same team that we were all expecting to be able to get in out there in an NL East where I think that's going to be very competitive. You've got, shall we say, deficiencies with all these teams, but the Mets have looked rock solid thus far this season. The Philadelphia Phillies have got a really good offense. I just really fear for the Atlanta Braves right now.
Well, Greg, help settle the debate then. You're going to be the deciding pick because Will and I are opposite each other in this National League East. I am on the Phillies. He is on the Mets. We saw Philadelphia get a win here earlier, 6-4 over the Giants. A strong first inning against Jordan Hicks, scoring 5 runs. And then the Mets right now in progress against the Cardinals. If you have to pick one of these teams right now to win the division, who's your pick?
The reason why I would go with the New York Mets is because you know that Steve Cohen is going to spend a whole bunch of money at the trade deadline. That is the reason why I would go with the New York Mets, because if I looked at it with today's rosters, I would lean towards the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies, they've got a little bit more depth in that lineup. You have to love the fact that you've got Zach Wheeler and all those starters, but the New York Mets, this is not the same lineup that we are going to be seeing here in the month of September, the month of October. They're going to add someone at the trade deadline. I think that they're going to do just enough to hold down the fort. And additionally, the Mets bullpen has been surprisingly good. They're right now number 3 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. That's something that the Phillies always seem to have a little bit of struggle with, albeit the Phillies haven't been too bad in the bullpen thus far this season. But just because I know that there is going to be a lot of money spent, there's going to be a lot of prospects dealt, I would be willing to go with the Mets.
Greg, some bad news. Rays with back-to-back singles here to lead off the first, but the first single was erased as Judge fires a seed to third base to pick off a runner. You never want to make the first out at third base, and the Rays just did that. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we already have lines up. I think we have a day game, and the thing I appreciate about you is you share the same sentiment as me. Is you get just as mad that we don't have afternoon baseball and we don't have it. But what are you looking at here for tomorrow for Friday's games?
Yep, absolutely. And the fact that we don't have a total up in Cubs versus Diamondbacks makes things intriguing just because that's a Wrigley Field game, but that's a total that I actually set at a 10.5. If you're looking at that Wrigley Field game, and if they set a total of like 9.5, something like a 10, I think that that's a good play to the over because the wind is going to be blowing out, and it's going to be blowing out at north of 15 miles an hour. Corbin Burns, it's not been the same guy that we once saw with the Milwaukee Brewers. Colin Ray is a pitch-to-contact guy that gives up north of a home run and a half per 9 innings over the last 3 seasons. And here's the Diamondbacks dating back to the start of the 2024 season. Actually, your number 1 offense in terms of run scoring, and you're getting Bowden Francis as well. As a home underdog against the Seattle Mariners, that's going to be a more evening game on Friday. With Francis, since the All-Star break in 2024, he's been posting up a sub-250 ERA, giving up less than 2 walks per 9 innings. And though Brian Wu has really good numbers since the beginning of the 2024 campaign, his strikeout numbers fall off very much from when he was a rookie. And I think something that you want to watch for in this game, the Mariners had to play a 10-inning game against the Cincinnati Reds, in which it was all hands on deck. They had to utilize so much of that bullpen. That bullpen is going to be very much spent against a Toronto Blue Jays team that's a little bit resurgent with the bats. Being able to get them at even money plus money on the money line at home, give me a shot on the Toronto Blue Jays for tomorrow.
Talking to our very own Greg Peterson, who you see across the network here at VSiN. Read his work at VSiN.com. Listen to the Baseball Betting Show podcast, available wherever you get your pods from. He's joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. I'm Scott Seidenberg, alongside Will Hill here on VSiN Primetime. What a pitching matchup we have tomorrow night between Jacob deGrom of the Rangers and Yamamoto going for the Dodgers. The Dodgers finishing off a sweep of the Rockies, but then again, Greg, you and I can sweep the Colorado Rockies. And you mentioned the Rangers, their inability to score. Could this be a potential for a low-scoring game, maybe a first 5 under with deGrom versus Yamamoto?
And I'm seeing that total right now at an 8, and I would be willing to take a shot on the under. With the Texas Rangers, yep, just mentioned it, the fact that they're not generating a lot of offense, but for the LA Dodgers, it's been a little bit hit or miss for some of these guys as well. Like Max Muncy has yet to hit a home run this season. You've had the guys like Andy Paez not necessarily being able to come through for them as well. And Jacob deGrom, I just have to believe he's going to be able to get back into some sort of form. Maybe he's not going to be the same guy that we saw 5 or 6 years ago when he was just absolutely scorching planet Earth on fire, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto is on the flip side. Since coming over from Japan, he has been as advertised and then some. His fielding independent is actually lower than his sub 275 ERA. He gets a bunch of strikeouts. He really doesn't walk a lot of guys, is able to go deep into games. The Dodgers have a lot of depth at their bullpen as well, even with the injuries that they've sustained. For the Rangers, it's been surprisingly decent with that bullpen as well. Think that we might see a little bit of regression there, but I'm right there with you. I'm going to be looking at that under.
Greg, an interesting pitching matchup between the Nationals and the Rockies tomorrow. It's Gore against Dollander, Washington a minus 135 favorite. Are we at the point with the Rockies like we were last year with the White Sox where you just blindly fade them every day, or is that oversimplifying it?
I think that might be oversimplifying it just a little bit because with the Rockies, they're just a completely different team at home rather than on the road. On the road, there's just almost no taking the Colorado Rockies. Like, they are averaging less than 2 runs per game away from home, and they're hitting less than $190. That is absolutely terrible. But at home, they go from hitting about $190 on the road to 280 at home. Their runs per game actually triples at home. They average about 1.9 runs per game when they're away from home. They average more like 4.9 runs per game at home, so about 2.5 times more. So I maybe oversold it a little bit, but still just a completely different team at home. And Dollander, he is a very highly touted prospect. I know that there was a lot of excitement coming out about him when he was over at Tennessee. He's given up 4 home runs in his first 2 starts as a big leaguer. So what I'd be looking at here, we've got a total of 9 at Coors Field. Mackenzie Gore, very rock solid to say the least, really nice strikeout pitcher, but I just laid out the home and road splits with the Colorado Rockies, and who says that the Washington Nationals don't get to 9 all by themselves? So I'm going to be looking at the over in that one.
Greg, do you see, final thing, any value do you see in the futures market, like in the awards market possibly? You know, maybe it's a Cy Young bet that you have. I mean, I'm looking at some of the guys that have gotten off to incredible starts this season. Chris Bassett, who would have thought, has the lowest ERA in all of Major League Baseball. Hunter Green, a .98 ERA. He is the second favorite behind Paul Skeens in the National League Cy Young race right now.
I'm not necessarily too much of one for diving in on the awards market, but I still remember when Johnny Venezia was joining me a season ago, he was very much hyping up Hunter Green, and I do think that that's a start that is here to stay. Hunter Green was really able to cut down on the deep ball last season, was giving up far fewer walks. So personally, I don't have anything invested with regards to the Cy Young award market, but what you just mentioned with Hunter Green, he's a guy that I think has a lot of upside, and I feel like Paul Skeens just got a little bit overvalued coming into the season myself.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Great stuff, Greg. Appreciate the time and the insight. We'll be listening to the pod, and good luck with your bets.
Always appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you.
There he is, our very own Greg Peterson. And check his stuff out, VSiN.com, and listen to the baseball betting show. Yeah, Hunter Green plus 350 to win the National League Cy Young. We'll see if we have any interest. We'll dive into some futures markets, keep you updated on the scoreboard coming up next. He's Will Hill. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's VSiN Primetime right here on VSiN.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back here on VSiN Primetime, I'm Scott Seidenberg alongside Will Hill here on VSiN, the sports betting network. Will, you mentioned it when we talked with Greg. Aaron Judge with a frozen rope to third base to gun down the lead runner. Yankees lead 1-0 over the Rays heading to the bottom of the second in Tampa. I think something that, you know, me just watching this clip, and I know I've talked so much about the fact that this is the same dimensions as Yankee Stadium, but I don't think you can't say it enough. Like, Judge was perfectly positioned to come in and charge that ball and make a throw. Whereas if it was in another ballpark that he's not familiar with, you know, playing, he might be deeper or he might be shaded over at some point. He knows the distance that he can cover between where he positions himself and that short wall in right field so that he had perfect ability to, you know, come in and make that play. I don't think you can talk about that enough.
Yeah, and not to turn this into a Judge love fest, but he's a really good defender. He's a really good right fielder. He was miscast as a center fielder, and everyone's going to remember him dropping the pop-up, which I know you get sick of me mentioning.
Please stop talking about that.
He's got a cannon. I know. He's got a cannon for an arm in right field. And, man, I'm not one of these people, oh, baseball was better 15, 20 years ago. Like, these pitchers are so talented. I think there's a lot of talent in the game. But the base running and the defense, especially the base running, man, it was just like you played baseball growing up. We all played baseball, watched it. You don't make the first or last out going to third. I mean,
nope.
to get thrown out going to third with nobody out and kill your inning, that's just bad baseball.
Yeah, bad for anybody who has the Rays bet, bad for an over bet because, you know, one of my coaches always told me that when it comes to getting out at third base. And he used to say, if you're fast enough to get to third, you're fast enough to score from second.
Yep.
And that was the lesson. It's that, so there's no reason to be on third because you can score from second on a hit. Now, unless you're trying, to get there with, less than 2 outs and you want to get that sac fly to score a run, that's not the goal. The goal is to string hits together. And if you're fast enough to get to third, you're fast enough to score from second. No reason to get thrown out there and just put your team behind the 8 ball. So Rays down 1-0, bottom of the second inning. Taking a look at the live market right now, Yankees minus 175. That total that jumped up to 11.5 in the first inning is back down now to 8.5. So it is a lower total than where the game started right now. Would you be interested in a live over in this game, Will?
I'd like the over more than the under. I don't trust Warren, and the Yankees seem like they're getting pretty good at bats. I might just take the plus number here on Tampa because I like the matchup with Bradley against Warren here. I think that's an advantage. 1 run's not the end of the world. Be interesting as we get deeper into the game, the Yankee bullpen usage with Devin Williams. He pitched 2 days in a row. Weaver was used a lot. They both got the night off last night. We'll be interested to see if they use them tonight. They probably get tomorrow off, that kind of thing, where you don't want to use them 4 and 5 days. So probably looking to save those guys still after working back-to-back nights, Monday, Tuesday, maybe use one of them and save one of them tomorrow. So that's something to keep in mind, but it'd be Rays or nothing, over nothing, but nothing I'm dying to bet here.
Now, this is the start of this is the start for the Yankees of a 4-game set against the Rays that will conclude on Sunday morning. And you already know I'm going to repeat my trend here. We're going to play the Rays on Sunday morning because home teams in the final game of a 4-game series this year are a perfect 11-0 after both the Phillies and Pirates came through here. The days that you're going to have to bet these are Thursdays and Sundays. So 4-game series will end on Thursdays and Sundays. There's the rare occasion where you have that wraparound series that goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But for the most part, it's Thursdays and Sundays, this being game 1 of a 4-game set between the Yankees and the Rays there in Tampa. So look for the Rays on Sunday. We'll have more on that as we progress through the weekend. No score between the Mets and the Cardinals going to the bottom of the second there in Citi Field. Live market right now, the Mets are minus 166. Live total of 6.5, which is really low for both of these teams that can certainly score runs. Any interest in a live bet in this game?
It'd be Cardinals. I lean towards Cardinals taking the half a run in the first 5 just because I do like Palante. I don't like Canning. Palante's a guy who gets a lot of weak contact. He's a ground ball machine, like 70% ground ball rate. So that would one where I don't want the Cardinals if it gets past the 5th inning. I think the Mets with their bullpen and their lineup eventually win the game. So if you can still get a decent price on the half a run in the first 5 as we're into the second here, that would be the way I would go because I'm down on. I just like the pitching matchup, the starting matchup for St. Louis. I like their pitcher more than Canning, who's gotten hit really hard, especially against righties this year. Do you have anything on this game?
Well, the total was 8, and so just getting a little bit of a discount now on the total.
Yeah.
Just thinking maybe you go an over 6.5 because the Mets have yet to go through their lineup once, and it's only the bottom of the second inning. And I think that sometimes after a scoreless first or second inning, just the total adjusts maybe too much. So, I mean, I would look for an over 6.5. I know that the 8 was shaded to the under a bit, but if I told you before the game you can bet under 8 or over 6.5, well, what would the bet you would make would be? I mean, you would say if I don't have to lay any juice, which right now you can get over 6.5 at minus 110. I feel like that's a play to be made. You're not worried about just no score in the first 3 half innings.
Yeah, especially these guys tend to fall off as they go through the lineup second, third time. The advantage goes to the hitter. I do have this game on in front of me. It seems like weather's still an issue here, especially on the East Coast. A lot of guys bundled up. That's not ideal hitting weather. And these guys like to feel loose and feel warm and feel comfortable. So a lot of long sleeves and face masks, things like that. So we're still in that portion of the season where weather's not great. But no, I'm with you. It'd be over or nothing. And I think this kid Palante is kind of underrated. Like I said, a lot of ground balls. He's adding some more swing and misses to his repertoire. Has never been a big strikeout guy. And the one downside for this Mets team, good bullpen, really good lineup. Soto, Alonso, they'll be fine. Lindor, they always start slow, especially Lindor. The starting rotation, Holmes is more of a reclamation project. As we look like, is that a home run? It looks like opposite field homer for Vientos. So good timing by you. Hopefully you got in 1-0 Mets. But that starting rotation is not great. Canning, Montas back at some point. Manaya's hurt. I know the starting pitching doesn't matter as much as it used to in past years because it's a 5-6 inning game, and then you turn it over to the bullpen, but that is still not championship level pitching, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it in time. You have to wait for these commercial breaks if you want to place these live bets because the market just moves way too fast. Total now is up to 7.5 after the Vientos solo home run. 1-0 Mets, bottom of the second inning. You mentioned weather. Weather is not going to be a factor coming up in Arlington. The Rangers are hosting the Angels. Texas looking for the 3-game sweep. It is Kumar Rocker on the mound against Jack Kakanowitz. Now, Rocker in his first game for Texas did not look good as he got rocked. Rocker got rocked. Look at me. I'm just throwing these out all week. I mean, come on. But he gave up 6 runs in 3 innings of work. He's looked a lot better in his last 2 starts. And I think one thing that people have been noticing about Rocker is much like Jack Leiter, added a little bit of an off-speed pitch to his repertoire, and it has helped him rebound after that first rocky start here. The Angels' offense, meanwhile, has really gone quiet. 3 runs in their final game of the series against the Astros. They got shut out in the first game against the Rangers, and just 1 run last night against Texas. Normally, I'd be a guy that backs a team to avoid a sweep, but I can't back this Angels' offense right now.
I would prefer Texas. I think Rocker and Greg Peterson brought this up. There's more talent than he showed. Like Greg said, he's a guy in Vanderbilt, minor leagues. He's always gotten a lot of strikeouts, a lot of swings and misses. That has not been the case here in the majors. Of course, different level of competition. I understand that, but a Rangers offense that you figure is due to get going. They're better than their numbers. An Angel bullpen that isn't good. So Rangers for the full game, I prefer just because it's one of these situations. If you do get tied, if you do get into the Angels bullpen where the game is tied 2-2, 3-3 late, advantage Rangers, especially at home. So I think the Rangers price is reasonable. I don't know what it's like in Vegas. It is harder and harder to find these 10-cent lines, though, and it matters over the course of a season. Difference between like -138 and -148, -150 is big, so it's harder to play these money lines and be profitable over the course of a long season. But I like the Rangers here. Do you agree with that? Is it harder in Vegas to find these dime lines?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think 15 cents is probably what you're going to have. I mean, that's what we got here at Circa. -155, +140 on the comeback. It depends. It depends. Certain games, certain books might give you a dime line. But, hey, this is the new world of sports betting that we live in, right? The values are quickly fading away. Elsewhere in progress right now, top of the 5th inning, the Orioles lead the Guardians 4-2. Top of the 4th, the Tigers a 3-0 lead over the Royals, but the Royals have some traffic on the base paths right now. The Rays have loaded the bases against the Yankees here in the bottom of the 2nd inning, so it might be an opportunity to buy in on either the Rays or the total. The Rays have flipped to the favorite right now with the bases loaded at -125, live total of 9.5 if you want to get it in quickly because there's 1 out with the bases loaded here. Or if you want to take the Yankees at plus, let's see, right now, +105, it's -105 now. If you want to take the Yankees, thinking they can get out of this. Does that interest you when you see a line adjust mid-inning? I mean, that's pretty wild, Will. It's something to explore. We'll update you on what's going on there. Plus, I want to remind you guys that it's time now to plan your Vegas getaway. Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties, Circa Las Vegas, the D Hotel, and the Golden Gate. Book your stay now at circalasvegas.com and use code VSiN15. This is VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The Rays get 1 run here with the bases loaded, a sacrifice fly. They still have first and second with 2 outs. We are now tied 1-1 between the Yankees and the Rays. Rays are -120. Yankees are -110. I'm Scott Seidenberg, joined by Will Hill. This is VSiN Primetime right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I took the Yankees at even money to win the game when the bases were loaded with only one out. Found a book that was offering even money, and I figured, well, if they got out of the inning with no runs allowed, that I was going to get about 70 cents of CLV, because I think the Yankees would jump back up to be a minus 175 favorite. If they get out of this with only one run allowed, it'll probably be pretty even both ways. I would say minus 115 maybe both ways. Do you expect that to be the market?
Yeah, and with bases loaded, one out, and I do a lot of these live betting stuff. Inning to inning, these lightning bets can be fun, and there can be value on them. And I just added one, which I'll get to. The expectation is a run. That's, if 2 runs would be more than you expect, no runs would be less than you expect. So expecting them to get a run where you just get a fly ball or some sort of sacrifice and get one is the expectation. So I understood your perspective here. I did add, we talked about it for the first at bat. The situation did not present itself, but I took Judge to walk in his second at bat. It's either walk or hit by pitch, plus 425. If there's one out, nobody on, I believe he's the second man up this inning. At some point, does reason take over and say, you know what? I have eyes. I can see the scoreboard where they post his batting average. I've seen this guy on TV before. He's hitting 418 with however many home runs, however many RBIs. You know what? First base is not a bad option. Instead of watching him hit the ball 480 feet and jog around the bases, let me just walk him and I'll get the next guy. So plus 425 walk or hit by pitch, I think is a good bet. So this will be a fun one to sweat.
So that's for Aaron. That's for Aaron Judge's next.
Yes.
That's for Aaron Judge's next plate appearance.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to try and find that on a book here in town. By the way, I just looked up the run expectancy matrix, which uses all the sabermetric data to determine how many runs you are expected to score in any given situation in a baseball game. So I plugged in with one out and the bases loaded. You are expected to about 2.31 runs that inning.
That's with bases loaded and one out?
Yep. That's data from the last little decade plus.
Interesting.
And that just uses how many runs the teams have scored. Well, think about it. A single scores 2 runs, right? A single scores 2 runs. So
singles, like most hitters aren't hitting.
Yeah,
what's the most hitters average though? Yeah, it's interesting.
But also
the big innings to screw it.
The sacrifice fly scores 1 run, but the inning's not over. Over. So then you still get another chance to get a single. Like right now, the Rays got the sacrifice fly, and Warren just walked the next guy. Boom, it's bases loaded now with 2 outs.
If you had known that stat, would you have played the Rays maybe?
No. I gotta find this Aaron Judge at bat. I'm gonna keep circling for that because I really like that, especially because he went 3 for 3. Not like they care, but the guy's done. The guy's hot.
Warren's coming out of the game after an inning and 2/3. He's just he walks too many guys. He's got decent stuff. The opponent batting average, the opponent hard contact is respectable, but he just doesn't give you any sort of length. This Yankee pitching is just not very good. So 1-1, bases loaded. And here's the thing. If you made the handicap on the first 5 with Warren, all right, that makes sense. Well, you got 5 outs out of him, only 1 run. So we're going to the bullpen pretty early here if you're the Yankees. Geez. By the way, Mets score a run. I think Soto got a base hit. 2-0. Detroit leads. Kansas City 3-0. Baltimore 4-2 over Cleveland here.
53 pitches for Warren. That's it. Leaves the game with the bases loaded.
I wonder if they'll send him down. I mean, this has been rough. Last year was rough. I mean, it's one thing, obviously, you want effective outings, effective innings, but it's one thing. You can't bring this kid in every day and just have him burn your bullpen and make the bullpen get 24 outs or whatever. You got to get more length than what he's giving you, and the command just isn't there. I don't know what their minor league situation is, and they're already up against it with Cole being hurt, Heel being hurt. Schmidt just came back. Stroman's on the IL, which might be addition by subtraction. So I don't know if they can replace him, but man, that's not good enough what he's providing.
Ryan Yarbrough is coming into the game. Bases loaded, 2 outs. The game is tied 1-1. Your live market right now is the Rays minus 135 with a live total of 9.5. The Mets continue to pile on, up 4-0 now on the Cardinals. I wish I would have gotten that over 6.5, Will. Live total right now, 9.5 for the Mets and the Cardinals there in the 3rd inning. Mets with a 4-0 lead. Into the 5th inning in Baltimore, the Orioles still holding on to that 4-2 lead over the Guardians. Live total is 9.5. And in the 5th inning, the Tigers a 3-0 lead over the Royals with your live total at 6.5. Speaking of live totals, I want to ask your thoughts on this, Will.
Yeah.
If you see a team that you like to come back in a game. So maybe there's a favorite that goes down. I give this example over the last weekend when the Dodgers were trailing the Cubs 2-1, and the live total was 6.5. And if you think about this, okay, if you like a team that's losing to come back and win, don't you think you're better off playing a live total as opposed to playing that team to come back and win?
Yeah, I mean, it always depends on the situation, the bullpen, but I like your idea, especially with a team like the Dodgers where, they're going to score the runs. And by the way, we got off the air and it was 7-1, 8-1 Dodgers. They only won the game 8-7, did not cover the 1.5.
And it didn't go over 15.5 either.
It didn't go over 15.5. That was a strange one. But no, I think you're onto something. I think that's not a bad angle.
No, because
is that what you like to do?
Well, yes, because if you think about it, like for example, and maybe this is let's take the Cleveland-Baltimore game as an example. Yeah. And I don't know if it's a perfect example, but let's just look at that game. It's 4-2. If you think the Guardians are going to come back and win, okay, it's plus 500. Yeah, that's a nice sprinkle, right? Thinking that they're going to come back and win. But think about it this way. If they come back and win, at the bare minimum, they have to score three runs and then win the game 5-4. Well, that's 9 total runs. The live total is 9.5. Instead of, chasing a plus 500 on something that you're confident might happen, why don't you go for the over 9.5? Because, yeah, if you're correct and the losing team comes back, you're at least going to be at 9, but you give yourself a cushion in case the team that's winning scores another run, or if it's tied, you go to extra innings and you got the ghost runner with the ability to score more runs.
Sure. Some people will take the 500 and say, you know what, I think they're going to come back. And if they tie it at 4, I can just name my profit. The line will swing to basically a coin toss. So that might be the approach to it. But I think you're onto something as well, for sure.
See if Yarbrough can get out of this. We got a full count with the bases loaded. And it looks like it is a strike 3 swinging. So Yarbrough gets out of the inning. Yankees and Rays heading to the top of the 4th inning there, or top of the 3rd, top of the 4th here. Top of the 3rd with a tie game 1-1. And it'll be Ben Rice leading off, Aaron Judge batting second. So quickly try and get in that Aaron Judge next at bat to be, just Walker hit by pitch, right?
Walker hit by pitch, and I'm just warning everybody. I take the bad beats pretty well. I bet these a lot last year with the Judge walk. If he gets a ball that shouldn't be called a strike and it's called a strike, I have a hard time with those because the swings are so. I mean, the edge is so small, the margin is so small, and he gets a lot of bad calls. He's got a huge zone, so that pitch that looks like a strike to other guys, I almost have a hard time with it. So if it's a few inches off the play or below the knees, and I see that strike call, I'm going to be upset because I want the plus 425. But I don't know. I like the angle. I think at some point these pitchers, we talked about it last night. Tie game, 8th inning. Oh, let's pitch to Judge with nobody on base. Okay, home run, you lose by a run. I just don't get it. Now, Bradley's a young guy. It's early in the game. He's probably confident in his stuff, so maybe he attacks him. But here's the thing. You can kind of pitch around him and win that bet. You can get nicked with one and win that bet. Or he can just make up his mind and say, you know what, I'm going to go after somebody else. One out, nobody on. Let's just be careful here. So I like the plus 425.
So I'm looking at Caesars right now, and the only thing that's available is Jonathan Aranda and Yandy Diaz. I wonder if the market closes at a certain point and it doesn't become available for, the Yankees' upcoming at-bats. But I'll keep refreshing to see if anything else pops up. Hey, if you want to know where the real money is going, unlike other sources, our betting splits here at VSiN come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa is known for taking big bets from professional bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just the public money, but the kind of wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus the percentage of handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's summer special right now for only $59 until August 1st. That's half off the monthly price. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. All right, so Will Hill is sweating out that Aaron Judge next at bat to be a walk. See, Volpe is now who's available on my Sportsbook app, so I think the Judge is not available. I'm Scott Seidenberg. He is Will Hill. We'll tell you what happens coming up next right here on VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.